starting up or repositioning your business. But I think one of the things that really comes into play here is people are already scared to start their business, and they're probably even more afraid now because of the current conditions because of COVID. What can we say to people that are listening tonight? What do we need to say? What do they need to do to move past the fear or the anxiety of getting their business started? How do we get them to make that shift so that they can start solving that problem in their community and beginning to build wealth? So let's just start with Winsley, and folks can jump in as we go along. But Winsley, kind of, what are some of your thoughts on that?
So basically, fear is a very paralyzing force, and the thing that neutralizes fear is knowledge. And as people have said before, there are a lot of great resources, NBDC, SBA, SCORE, Nebraska Enterprise Fund, Catholic Charities, the Chamber. There's lots of folks that are out there. They want to help small businesses. They have the connections. The more people you know, the luckier you get. And by plugging into any of these organizations, they can amplify the number of people that you can know and the right people to know very quickly. All of them are just eager and waiting to assist people. One of the resources that we hope to have available for small businesses is a resource map of all the different resources, and it'll be able to, you'll be a little matrix. You'll say, hey, I need business plan assistance, and it'll give you all of the different resources throughout the community to help people get plugged in. And then also a frequently asked questions document, and basically 30 of the most frequently asked questions that we've been getting lately since the beginning of the year. And this is a document that we have input from all of the different service providers. That's going to be up there too. Again, knowledge will help squash that fear, and just, again, the relationship, knowing somebody, talking with somebody, them giving you that warm, fuzzy feeling that you may not know it at all, but here are some of the folks that can help you along the way.
I'd like to go ahead and add a few things. One of the things that not all of the industries are paralyzed. Construction is doing very, very well. We continue to make loans, and we're actually making loans for construction loans, matter of fact. A lot of our 504 has done wonderful. There are a variety of IT services, and we've funded a number for their working capital and a variety of things. The IT is doing well because of the changes that have taken place. Because I see a lot of the IT companies that I know around town, they're replumbing a few businesses so that they can take advantage of everybody that may be teleworking or trying to keep everything up to date. So we can't think that all industry is paralyzed. It isn't. And maybe Ernest, you could tell from, that's one of the things I always tell bankers. The bankers can see the cash flow, what is coming in and out, what industries seem to be doing better than others. I know as I said, all construction, you do landscaping. You know, I see so much work being done. The road construction people, there's too much being done out on Blonder right now. But you know, it is being done. That is the other thing. Government construction has not stopped either. They're still buying, they're still building. You know, we still have all this building and reconstruction that's being done because of the flooding. Most people don't realize that. So it's industry specific that's happening right now.
Yeah, I would say the construction industry, but in answer to Julian's original question, I always tell people, trust the process and do the work. But I think so much is built on relationship, but the resources are out there. I mean, I look around and I think everybody on this panel I've worked with or referred people to, but I go back to even something like North End, and I don't think people really realize that was all relationship. You couldn't put it together any other way. There wasn't people with a lot of money. It was an idea that Ed Taylor had and I had, and And it originally started with OEDC being a nonprofit, which is difficult to connect a nonprofit, but you had to have the talent, which was Ed and Carmen. You had to have the banker, which was me, but you also, in that particular thing, you had OEDC, you had Nebraska Enterprise pay the part, the chamber pay the part. So it's all about relationships, but a lot of businesses, it's about trusting the process. And I think Leon talked earlier about there's so many people that missed out on the PPP because they didn't have a banker. And it's not just having a banker, it's having a relationship with a banker. Because a lot of times you just get lost in the mix. You just call an 800 number. But if you have a relationship, somebody you can call and walk you through the process, that's so important. But the big thing to me is always trust the process and do the work. But the resources are out there. They're definitely out there. And you know, I know we're starting a new initiative that does a lot of the same things that you guys are doing, but in a little different way, which is the Carver Financial Center. And it's trying to put all those pieces together where you have the financing, you have the marketing, you have the banking, all in one shop. And obviously Nebraska Enterprise Fund is playing a part, and we'll still be using all those resources that we always use, but hopefully that's a place that people can walk in right off a lake and feel comfortable. But it's the same resources we're always using, but hopefully that will alleviate some of their fear.
Yeah. Now, Ernest, so this Carver Financial Center, and you said, well, you know, using some of the same resources. What's the glue, you know, and the strength of really, you know, they launched that. I know later on this month, it's going to, you know, come to its full fruition in terms of what it's going to be doing. But I know I've been getting a lot of calls about that. And so I know you said BC, there's some partners on the phone, kind of talk about really, you know, people are calling, they have money in hand, they ready to make deposits. What's the role of the bank in terms of that entity that's happening, and how might it fit? I believe we have Willie Barney as a participant, but I think what's the synergies around why this and why American National Bank is so invested in something like this?
Well, American National Bank is just a piece of it. Obviously, if you were able to put together 10 million, we probably want to start a black bank, but that takes a lot to capital. So you couldn't do
That's
that.
all?
Yeah, 10 million. You need 10 million to start a bank.
Come on now.
But
if we can get that
the thing
done.
is that not being in a position to do that, but wanting to have black ownership or create ownership, you know, where you're the owner. So the original thing is that you got the entrepreneur, which was Willie and his wife, and Pastor Martin, who actually owned the building. American National Bank is just a tenant. But to be able to offer those services where you still have all the backroom operations of the bank, but the purpose is those deposits that come into American National Bank, they can go to any branch, are supposed to be lent out in North Omaha to the African-American community. So they're tagged specifically for that. So that money's supposed to be specifically dollar for dollar, whatever comes into Carver. And we've been doing really well so far. It's supposed to be lent out directly in that community. So American National is just a piece of it.
And Ernest, just real quick, is that piece, you know, is that going to be in a non-traditional way? So what's going to really, why should I go through this process versus just coming to American National Bank on my own? Is there some added benefits of going through a process?
That's the benefit I referred to. So all those deposits, if they say either done there or they go to any American National, they're tagged with a code that says it's Carver, and those funds can only specifically be used for that. That's the purpose of it. So, and the other purpose is American National Bank being a tenant that actually helps the cash flow because we're paying rent to those two entities, the Barneys and the Williams. So now we become a tenant instead of us owning the building. We're just a tenant. So that helps in a couple ways. But American National Bank is just kind of like containing the money and allowing it to be lent back out.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, hey, I know we need to keep moving. Nicole is on. And with all of this, Nicole, in terms of your area of expertise, in terms of helping people rebuild their credit. So how might we help some folks that's viewing this or listening to this what steps that you would have for them if they're in a space where they're having some challenges? How do we help them navigate through this?
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much. I will just piggyback off of what Winsley said. It is wisdom. A lot of us have been exposed to it and have a better understanding when it comes to obtaining knowledge versus other people. And in some of the lower communities, being educated or trying to get wisdom in areas of credit, banking, business, or what have you, it's just not the norm. We kind of go through day by day trying to eat and trying to just live. So opening a business, whether we have gifts, talents, or not, if the exposure is not there and we don't have people around us, like the networking or the Carver that's coming into the area, we don't know. So when I'm working with a client, and I've been blessed enough to work with people in Omaha and the surrounding areas, from the multimillionaires to the people on welfare, there is a system in place that just teaches us not to pay credit back, number one. So you'll be given a little bit of credit right away. And when you don't know how to manage your money, and like BC said, you don't have the fundamentals and different things in place, that mismanagement leads to not being able to move forward. So when I sit down with my clients, so whether they're at the top of their game or not, when life happens, there's no way to pivot because they haven't had anything presented to them that's taught them how to pivot in times of pandemic. So I take them to the basics. I take them all the way down to the basics. And when I teach the girls, if I'm in Girls Inc., and we're talking about saving,
Right.
spending, at the end of the day, just so with credit, just a financial analysis, we sit back and we look at your debt to income ratio. And we see exactly what you have coming in and what's going out. And we eliminate a lot of things. I've even had clients, married couple, move back in with their parents to eliminate debt and get their credit in order. And then I'll take them to, I'll expose them to Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and Think and Grow Rich and all these different tools that are out here to educate us to become better. And I just work with them hand by hand. So if I could say anything from my business line of solutions, I come from the collections background, and I've been blessed to know a lot of the owners and VPs of the collection agencies around the area. So
Now, Nicole, just real quick, Nicole, what's a bad and an average score, and where should people be working toward when you look at, if we just, I know there's so much more that goes into it, but just so if you would throw some numbers out there, maybe Leon and some other folks that really look at the baseline of a credit score to make decisions. Let's talk about that a little bit so people can understand where they're at and where they got to get to.
Well, everybody's shooting for the high 700s and the 800. But what people don't understand is your credit worthiness is a reflection of you and your business. So until people understand that 35% of your history that goes into that FICO score is making your payment on time, it's a simple equation. Pay your bill and pay it on time. So rather it's in business and you're dealing with net terms, or it's your personal bills, it just needs to be paid on time. And then of course, you can tweak utilization and open an account here and do all the other things to get it higher and higher. But your credit was put in place just to indicate with Fair Isaac and why it was created. It's credit worthiness. We can't shake hands anymore. So we had to put a number on it, and we had to put KPIs in place so that we in terms can look at your historical data to see if you're going to pay me back my money. So they shoot for the 700s and the 800s. And if you're looking to buy a home, you want to at least be mid 600. When you're dealing with businesses and you get into your Dun & Bradstreet and your Experian and Equifax business credit scoring modules. You need to be educated. And Martine and myself just taught a class on Business Credit Matters, and we just break down the basics.
Oh yeah, Martine. Okay.
Yep. To
Right on.
replace the ignorance with wisdom.
Now, Leon, just real quick, we're gonna jump into the speed dating and answering quick questions. One of the questions, one of the viewers are saying, if you just start a business, how the heck do you build credit when you just start a business?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the first things we do, we take a look at your personal credit. You know, based on that, and Ernest will say the same thing. If you could obtain a loan, and then you go out and establish credit with your suppliers is what you do. You will be given terms. You've got to pay on those terms, and that's how you build a relationship with your bank. You have to pay your utilities, everything on time. You get signed up, as Nicole was saying, it's all the little things that go into establishing credit, and establishing that relationship and all of that. I have to think with Ernest, I tell you, with banks in our loan program, we may go down to 600, 6.25. We have another scoring model. Basically, we want to make sure you pay your taxes, you pay everything that you're supposed to on a timely basis. You're paying your student loans and all of that. Well, I have to tell you one thing when it comes to personal disasters, when a homeowner is involved, we've gone down the credit score of 475.
I've seen it.
And so it's more than just credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is more than just credit.
Package.
Yeah, it's more than just credit. But first, most people that start a business don't have business credit, and it relies on their personal credit. So
Correct.
that's not unusual not to have business credit. But the thing is to have your personal credit in order. And we will go as low as 660 or whatever. But it is more than just credit. Obviously, we're also going to look at your capacity, your debt to income.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we don't like people when they start a business quitting their job if they don't show, because then all your personal expenses have to come out of that business. So there's a lot of different tangible, but it's not just credit. It's your debt to income, capacity to repay.
Correct. Cash flow.
Okay.
We teach cash flow. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
And real quick, just so people, and on the subject of building business credit, if someone would talk in terms of when people start talking about, because some people don't even know what their business credit is, and they've been in business for years. If somebody would talk towards helping them understand how that's established in terms of like where they find it, even when they register their business, making sure they have a Dun & Bradstreet, all these different things that make their business kind of exist to start building credit. If someone can kind of talk to that real quick, I think that would be helpful to some of our viewers as well.
Well, we just taught the class Business Credit Matters this last weekend. And I think the number one thing that people have to understand is small business owners. And even as you start to grow, because I've been blessed to work with multi-million-dollar publicly traded businesses that don't even have their credit systems in order and still kind of scramble to get things in place with your Dun & Bradstreet and different entities, is you have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to go to your bankers, these bankers and different people that are already in business when you don't know where to go. Because number one, you do need to open a business checking account. Mm-hmm. And then whether you know Dun & Bradstreet or not, depending on your business and if it's registered with the state, they know you. Mm-hmm. And you may have a number, man, you need to see exactly what they're saying about you. But the only way to find that out is when you walk in, and you can go to Nebraska Enterprise Fund, and you can go to other small business owners, and you can engage with programs like this, that Tim has going, and just learn. I have to go right back to it's the wisdom. It's making sure you trump that ignorance with wisdom. And I just happen to be under Pastor Martin and Linnell Williams, who back in 2008 believed in me to even move forward with my business to help people repair credit. So your circle really does matter.
That's right.
And
That's right.
you
Yeah.
need to be able to, so open that business account, number one. You can call Dun and Bradstreet. A
Yeah.
lot of the financial institutes and the people there that I work with, rather it's Edward Jones, Renaissance Financial, Verdant Accounting, you can walk in for free and talk to them about your everything. And it's just, I'm sure American National Bank, you can just go in and there's personal bankers and there's people that are just like wanting to pour all this information into us. So
Yeah.
number one, make sure you separate your finances.
And sometimes, you know, people look at that in terms of you're saying, Nicole, hey, just, you know, walk in. You know, it's easier said than done. I mean, I'm
Yes,
just
it is.
because you're really asking people to be vulnerable and
You
kind of like they've been bad, but I tell you, there's no healing unless you acknowledge the pain and some of the challenges that you're dealing with that's in front of you. And we have not all been just, you know, clean of credit and not paying our bills on time and all those kind of things, but you got to start somewhere.
You
Right.
have to.
It's some
Yeah.
pain that you just cannot keep waddling in. You
Mhm.
gotta get up and do something about it.
And
Yeah.
and you know, Julian,
One more quick question here. I'm sorry. Was that?
I was going to say, Julian, you talked about fear. That's like one of the number one things when people come in, even to NEF, about getting a loan. The first thing they say is, my credit is bad.
Mhm.
And I'll say, and the first thing I'll say is, well, how is it bad? Oh, I have a really low score. And I said, well, what is it? Well, I don't know. So, you know, they've assumed that they have it. And so I always say, you know, when it comes to fear, you either can forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I always want you to face everything and rise. So if you don't know what's on the credit report, let's print it out. Let's look at it. Let's see what things that may not even be yours that's on there, right?
Yeah.
Let's take care of
Yeah.
those things that need to be taken care of, because some of that's what's holding you back. Some of those things are maybe something you did when you're 18. It doesn't go away. It'll stay there until you take care of it. And
There
so
you go.
you have to take that time and that opportunity and not be afraid, and, you know, face everything and rise to make it happen so you can move forward.
And,
There you go.
And I'm really hoping that the Carver creates an environment that people won't be as intimidated as they would if they walk into a bank, but still have the same resources, the same talent. So it's not like a fall off, but maybe because it's not the same environment as walking into a bank, that people could feel a little more comfortable
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
talking to some of the people.
Hey, Ernest,
I
just
agree.
to that point, just real quick, because we got to move. You guys were coming up on 9 o'clock, but someone in the question said, where do they deposit? Can they make deposits for this Carver Financial Center? Where do they make deposits if they want to start?
Any American National Bank, it's all driven by a code. You can go to any American National Bank. You just have to tell them this is deposit for the Carver. That's how we have it set up. But we don't want to restrict it that you have to come to that particular location. But we want those funds to be. So if you go into any American National Bank, we have it set up that we send it out bank wide. Everybody at every branch knows if somebody comes in for a Carver, those people know that they put in a specific code, and we track that, so we know. But you don't have to go to that particular building. You can go to any American National Bank.
Okay, that was a question. Julian, what are you thinking in terms of right now? What we probably should do in terms of just in this last 10 minutes, I'm thinking is, you know, let's start with Nicole and let the ladies go first. Nicole, BC. I mean, if you would have to summarize in terms of folks out there that's trying to just stand up and move forward, what would you leave them with? What's that elevator 60 seconds that you can just leave them with that can give them some hope that they can get this done? You want to kick us off, Nicole, and then we can just go down the line, and then Julian and I will wrap it up. There's some things that I want you to hear that Julian is doing that it's so important to this conversation.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Tim. So I wrote a book called Moving Forward.
Okay.
And This book was designed to get people moving. And the number one thing people have to understand is that you were created for a reason. You have a purpose, you have a desire, and you have to move. You can't wait on permission. You have to go forward. And as you move forward, those doors do open. And just surround yourself with the right people, and they'll expose you to greatness, and you'll go from glory to glory to glory.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I love that, Nicole. Okay, DC.
Well, the one thing I'll say too is that nothing happens if you're not doing anything. So if you're sitting still and you have all these things to do and you're not moving or you're not taking advantage or getting up, the one thing I'll tell you that whatever it is that you feel is a barrier, you need to face it.
Yes.
Because if you don't, it'll still stay there. It'll be there tomorrow and the next day. So let's just stop saying I'm going to, and let's just do. I talked about executing. So if let's devise a plan. Let's execute that plan. Let's face everything, and let's rise to make happen whatever it is we want to happen. Because it's not going to happen for us unless we're able to do it ourselves.
Yes.
Nice.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Dang, I almost kind of want to pass the hat, you know. You ladies, boy. Oh, I don't know, fellas. I wouldn't want to follow them. So
Let me drop my handle if you don't have that hat.
if you had a microphone, you would drop it, huh? Bam. Okay, Leon, hey, go for it, man.
Okay, I'm going to play off what BC says. It's all about execution. You really do have to go for it. You've got to go ahead and reach out and talk to people. You've got an idea, and you've got to build those relationships through that idea. I've done this a number of times and made people very, very wealthy because of it. Because they talk to me, they ask me, who do I know? And where should I go? And do you have an answer? And then another thing I tell everybody, you know, it may not be your first idea. It might be something along that journey that you're taking that you're going to find something else better or a better idea, or somebody's going to give you an idea that you never thought of that you know you can execute on. It's one of those things. I've seen it happen time and time again. May not be your first idea, but that idea along a journey that you take ends up being so much a better path and a business.
Right on. Winsley.
Yeah, so I think, again, the themes, relationships, knowing people, being prepared. The more people you know, the luckier you get, and especially if they're the right people, people who understand. So go to the bankers, the accountants, the people who are already in business. Ask them questions. People will be so surprised at how many people are willing to help and share their knowledge. You don't have to run into every brick wall that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
He has run into it, and they're very willing to point it out to you and help you move around it. So just reach out to people.
Right on. Ernest.
Well, you don't have to have all the income, capital, or money, but have access to that. I think if you could figure out a way to access the money and the capital and the relationship and that makes it. And I think until we have control of our own financial, human capital, and marketing, we won't be competitive. So,
right on. So Julian, as we wrap up, Julian, for ones that don't know, founder, CEO of the Start Center, Omaha. So Julian, once you can, I'll give you an opportunity to kind of summarize what resonates with you in terms of from this night, and then we can move on. We got about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up and go from there. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think everybody pretty much has said it. I want to make sure, real quick before I do go into my thoughts, I want to ask all of our panelists here right now, everybody that's shared so much great information and insight, can these people pick up the phone and call you?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
People have always picked up the phone and called me, so I don't know. Is there anything you
Yeah.
can-
Any time of day or night, they call you.
Actually, bro, Ernest,
Anytime.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. I like that's a good question, Julian. That's good.
so and the reason I say that is it's for them, not you
Right.
all, but for them that are listening. You hear them, but I know you see them. But these are folks that, again, you can pick up the phone and call.
That's the action.
Reach out,
Yeah.
Nebraska Enterprise Fund, the REACH Initiative at the Greater Omaha Chamber, Carver Financial Center, Small Business Administration, American National Bank. These are all individuals that you can reach out to, and as you're hearing them, at the end of the day, folks, just pick up the phone and call somebody.
Yes.
You know,
Do
just pick up
something.
the phone and call somebody, and
Execute.
you'll be amazed at who's there to help you. And second, my thing is, go talk to somebody who's done it.
Hmm.
Go walk right into their place of business and say, look, man, how the heck did you do this?
Yeah.
And you'll be shocked, because one thing that'll help you understand, you can do it. Okay. If we haven't made that abundantly clear tonight, you can do this. Right.
Do it.
I always like to talk about Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book years ago called The Tipping Point. And in that book, he talks about generally that every idea, we make all of our entrepreneurs at the Start Center go get this book. Well, we tell them to get it. I don't know if they go get it or not. Go get it. That every idea, typically, it's going to tip, right? The question is whether or not you're going to be around when it does. And so this thing is about understanding. How many times have people said, I had that idea, right? But the difference between you and the person who's prospering is they took action and you didn't. And so just remember that getting up, taking that first step, sending that email. I see folks are listening to their information now. Again, pick up the phone, call people, take that first step, walk into somebody's place of business. Do like I used to do and walk into Ernest's office at American National.
Right.
Yeah, he did too.
Right.
Ernest would have to say, hey, man, I'm with a client, man. But just pick up that phone and get started, So that's my encouragement to folks.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys, this has been real, and hopefully it's been real helpful as we pursue this whole thing of doing business. That's the theme for tonight. How do we do business and ready ourselves to do business? And it starts with really, raising your hand and say, hey, I need help. We can't get it done by yourself. That's what all these resources are for. You not only, Julian, you're not leaving out yourself, but you have a great vehicle in terms of just folks that want to start a business in terms of the Start Center. And you have so many clients, so many people that are successful because of taking the time to start right and having mentors and following them through that. And so I think you should put in the chat your information as one of the resources too. Can people call you?
Oh, absolutely. They can call me, and they know where to find me too. So.
That's right. I tell you, I spent a whole lot of time at Scooters, and I think part of it too is we got to stop talking about it and do it, right, and taking that first step and supporting Black businesses. And I do want to take the time. These are some Black businesses that are forward into this movement, and I want to take the time and thank them. Capital Cigar Lounge in Lincoln, Surface One Paving, Wilburn Construction Management, Jan Pro Omaha, one of the top cleaning companies, especially now in terms of when you think about this virus and really trying to make sure your areas are, your homes, residents, and your commercial places are disinfected properly. Jan Pro Omaha. Emerald Cut Landscaping, 100 Black Men of Omaha, North Star, Avenue Scholars, the African American Empowerment Network, 24th Street Corridor, Neighborhood and Business Alliance, PPRP Innovations, And so you never get it. And I think we never get it done by ourselves. It takes a collective group of people to make this happen. And I think as we look at doing business, I think we got to do the business with yourself first. And that's a process. And then, when you're on the airplane, what do the stewardess, they say, hey, put your mask on first, regardless of who's next to you. You got to put your mask on first before you choose and try to help someone else. And so that's so important. And I see that people are putting information in the chat in terms of how to get a hold of folks. There's some other questions we just did not have time to get to. One of the questions was, what's the thoughts, and maybe people can put it in the chat box about the OOIC. That has been a mainstay in terms of North Omaha. Right now is closed. And how do we reimagine, how do we reopen and repurpose that? And so that was one of the questions, and they wanted to get some of your thoughts in terms of feedback on that. So if you would, please give some of that feedback in terms of the chat, or even online as our Facebook folks, YouTube, your thoughts about how do we reimagine a place like OOIC. And then with Tony Goins, the last piece I have, you guys, is, with unemployment, underemployment, Metropolitan Community College have received some CARES dollars to help people to move them from unemployment and underemployed. And we define underemployed, I believe it's like $31,000 or less that you're making. And so what these grants will do, which you do not have to pay back, $1,100 for short-term certification programs that you can take to help move you from, really, you may be working in a job that you just don't like, but how do you now take this opportunity to jump into a career, move from a job to a career, and you can get that done at Metropolitan Community College. If you have interest in really exploring the possibilities of that, you can go to mccneb.edu/CARES scholarship. And that'll get you the information that you need. And so with that, I want to thank co-host, my man Julian, and all of our guests behind the scenes. I want to thank Jessica and Raheem and the folks to make this happen behind the scenes. And so you just don't get it done by yourself. And I just appreciate every single one of you that has taken the time. And really, how do we keep this thing going? I mean, Julian, he rightfully so, hey, can they call you? What can we do to keep this going? Because at the end of the day, we have enough vehicles and platforms that just talk about problems. And we didn't want to create that. We wanted to create some energy about putting together some thought leaders, some subject matter experts that give some tools on how do we lean forward? How do we imagine in terms of what's next? And then how do we help the individual become strong so they can impact their community? It starts with the individual. It starts with that family. And so that's really what, and I tell you, Leon, I'm coming to see you, brother, okay? I got some.
You know what we'll do? I'll come see you and we'll have coffee at Julian's.
See, that's what's up. That's what, because I got some innovation going on.
You guys gonna invite me?
And I need some money, okay? And Ernest, we gonna
never mind.
I see Ernest all the time. Okay? But really, there's a lot of people doing some great work out there, and I tell you, it is so easy to point fingers and say, "Oh, this person's not doing this." We have an unbelievable opportunity in this community if we dare to really step out of our self and personalities and do what's bigger than us. Do what's bigger than us. And that's why we embrace these things that are happening. A Nebraska Enterprise Fund, what the Startup Center Omaha, Carver Financial Center. I mean, we need all of this, and we can do this collectively. The Chamber, the Reach, what you're doing, Winsley, Nicole, all the folks that's on here, we need each other. We need each other to survive. And so with that, we're gonna go into our last commercials. And thank you guys. Please fill out the survey. We'll be sending the survey. Give us feedback in terms of how we can strengthen it and make it better. If you have ideas in terms of speakers, go ahead and let me know that as well. If you have different ideas, I would appreciate that. My producer, before we, she's trying to tell me something in my ear, so I gotta see what she's talking about here. I think they're just saying, okay, okay. They told me wrap it up.
We knew that.
We knew that. We're only 8 minutes over. Okay, last time we were about a half an hour over, so we're getting better. Okay, we're getting better, Julian. We're getting better. Yeah. So thank you guys very much. Take time to be good to yourself. Stay safe. Wear your mask. This virus is real, you guys. People are dying, and so we have to really do what's necessary to help save our people. And we got to pay attention to what it's going to take. Social distancing, wearing that mask, and go get tested. Yeah. I get tested on a weekly basis. Yeah. And so I think let's encourage each other to get tested as we move into the winter months, back, the flu virus and all those kind of things. So thank you guys very much. I'm out of here. Right on.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
God bless you.
Bye.